Welcome back to the deep dive. We know your time is valuable, so we take a stack of the latest research, articles, and expert notes, and we pull out the essential wisdom you need right now. And for so many of you, right now means you're staring down what we call the holiday gauntlet.
Right.
It's this time of genuine joy, celebration, and let's be honest, a caloric abundance that can feel like a full contact sport.
It really can. You're trying to maintain muscle, keep up with recovery, and you're just surrounded by rich food, desserts, drinks, everything.
Exactly.
And that tension is really what drove our analysis today. The sources we looked at, they don't preach restriction. Not at all. They define strategy.
Okay, so what's the mission for this deep dive?
The mission is to give you actionable strategies.
Yeah.
We want to show how, with some specific planning and a real commitment to mindfulness, you can absolutely enjoy the festivities.
Without sacrificing progress.
Without sacrificing the progress you've worked so hard for. It's all about balance, not deprivation.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've distilled all the material down into 6 core strategies. We're going to start with the non-negotiables, right? The nutritional foundations that protect your training. So when we're looking at nutrition during a time like this, a high indulgence period, what's the single biggest protection we can put in place?
It has to be prioritizing protein. I mean, think about the traditional holiday spread.
Right.
Protein is almost always on the sideline.
Yeah.
You have mountains of mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing, pie, and then this, relatively small serving of turkey.
That's the problem, isn't it? Protein just takes a back seat to all those comforting, carb-heavy options. Now, we all know protein is essential for muscle, but why is prioritizing it during the holidays so critical?
The why is all about mitigation. Your calorie intake is going to be erratic. Just is.
Sure.
So adequate protein intake acts like an insurance policy. It's not just about maintaining what you have. It's about signaling to your body that, hey, muscle protein synthesis needs to continue.
You're talking about that leucine threshold.
Exactly. The sources really emphasize hitting that threshold. Leucine is that key amino acid that basically flips the on switch for muscle building and repair. If you're training through the holidays, you need that switch flipped.
Okay, so let's get strategic. I'm at a party, a potluck, and the only protein options are, greasy sausages or some processed dip. What do I do?
That's a great real-world scenario. The material strongly advises you aim for lean, whole sources first. So turkey, chicken, fish, tofu, legumes. That's plan A.
But if plan isn't available...
If those aren't there, the strategy shifts to volume and timing. Try to eat the protein first as soon as you sit down.
Okay, why first?
To trigger that early satiety and protect against, the muscle breakdown that can happen with high-carb, low-protein meals. Don't wait for the second plate. Make that first portion count.
That's a really practical tip. Okay, let's move to the second foundation. Loading up on veggies. This is where it gets interesting because it's about volume with minimal caloric impact. How can we strategically use vegetables to do more than just, get our vitamins in?
The sources detail this dual benefit. So yes, they're nutrient dense. They provide all the stuff your system needs to manage the inflammatory load from richer foods. But the tactical advantage is the fiber.
The satiety factor.
We have to leverage the satiety factor.
Can you explain that a bit more? It's more than just feeling full because your stomach is stretched, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole cascade.
Yeah.
So protein triggers satiety hormones, but fiber gives you the physical bulk and it slows down digestion.
Okay.
And that sustained digestion keeps your blood sugar more stable. It prevents those crashes that make you crave more food like 90 minutes later.
So by loading your plate with things like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, green beans...
Or a big salad, yeah.
Yeah.
You are effectively raising the barrier to entry for overeating the more calorie-dense stuff.
I'm visualizing the plate now. Lean protein is the anchor in the middle.
Yes.
And the high-fiber vegetables are like a security perimeter against the stuffing and the rolls.
That's the perfect way to think about it. Make veggies your primary side dish. It's a defensive strategy. If you fill half your plate with fiber and protein, there's just physically less room and less hormonal drive to gorge on the simple carbs later.
All right, so those are the nutritional foundations. Now let's get tactical, because even with the right food choices, the sheer volume and social pressure can derail anyone. We need to talk portion control.
This is where we have to combat the cognitive biases of a holiday feast. The sources all stress that portion control is the absolute key to managing your overall calorie budget.
But just saying use moderation doesn't really help when you're standing in front of a buffet.
No, it's useless advice on its own.
So what's the psychological trick the sources mentioned?
The simplest, most effective one is the size of the vessel. Use a smaller plate.
The plate itself.
The plate itself. Studies show we serve ourselves based on the amount of empty space we see. If you use a salad plate instead of a dinner plate, you're tricking your brain into feeling satisfied with less food.
Because the plate looks full. It looks abundant.
Exactly. It removes that mental pressure to fill up this, vast, empty expanse of a dinner plate.
That is a fantastic low-effort hack. Did the research offer anything for, say, multi-course meals or buffets where you have multiple chances to overdo it?
They did. They advocate for what they call the one-scoop, three-bite approach for the really indulgent favorites.
Okay, how does that work?
For a dish that's super high in calories, like a rich dessert or a creamy casserole, you take one small controlled scoop, you enjoy it for 3 genuinely mindful bites, and then you physically step away.
Step away from the table.
Yes. The goal is to taste it, savor it, and move on, rather than letting proximity lead to, continuous mindless grazing.
Okay, strategy number 4, something that's so easy to overlook. Hydration. Why is water so critical, especially when all the festive drinks are flowing?
Well, we're moving beyond just preventing thirst here. Drinking plenty of water is crucial because it hits on 3 fronts for a fitness goal. First, dehydration is often misread by the body as hunger.
So it's a craving killer.
It's a powerful curb for cravings, exactly, and for the urge to overeat. Second, water is the engine for your metabolism, including fat mobilization. If you're dehydrated, your gym performance suffers, and your body's ability to process food just slows right down.
And you have to remember, the holiday season means more dehydrating things like coffee, alcohol, salty foods.
Precisely. Which is why that old 8 glasses a day advice needs an upgrade. For someone actively training, the sources say to aim for half your body weight in ounces of water.
Half your body weight in ounces.
And then you increase that for every cup of coffee or alcoholic drink you have.
So the tactical tip here is pretty simple but high impact. Swap out the sugary punches and lattes for plain water or herbal tea. You're plugging a massive calorie leak right there.
Yeah.
Okay, connecting this to the bigger picture, we're shifting from what's on your plate to advanced prep and mindset. This is often the hardest part. What's the best preventative measure for a party before you even walk in the door?
The single best strategy is planning ahead. You just can't rely on willpower when you're starving and surrounded by free, tempting food. You need a defense mechanism built hours in advance.
So let's talk about that first planning tactic, hunger management.
Right, this is sometimes called strategic banking. The idea is, if you know you're going to a big dinner, don't starve yourself all day. That's a recipe for a binge.
I think we've all done that.
We all have. Instead, eat a balanced, small, high-protein and high-fiber meal beforehand.
So you're not arriving ravenous.
Exactly. It takes the sharp edge off your hunger. You arrive satisfied, and you're eating for pleasure and social enjoyment, not out of a desperate caloric need. It makes a huge difference in your ability to make rational choices.
And the second tactic is about controlling the environment, especially for potlucks.
Control what you can control. Bring a dish to share, and make sure it's a healthy option that fits your own goals.
And not just a boring veggie tray.
Please, no. Everyone ignores that. Bring something impressive. A big lentil salad with a great vinaigrette, or a high-protein bean dip. Something that guarantees you have at least one excellent foundational option available.
That's smart. It also kind of signals to others that you're focused on nutrition.
It does.
Okay, final strategy. This is the mental game. Acknowledging that indulgence is okay sometimes.
This is where we move from tactics to mindset. Long-term success is about consistency, not perfection. The sources really push back against that all-or-nothing mentality.
The idea that if you eat one cookie, the whole day is ruined.
Yes, or the whole week, or the whole season. It's so destructive.
So instead, the sources talk about mindfulness. What does that actually look like in practice?
It requires intention. So instead of just blindly grazing on snacks while you're watching TV or chatting, you intentionally select the one treat you most want. Then you sit down, put your phone away, and you focus entirely on the experience. You look at the texture, you savor the aroma, you really focus on the flavors. This intentional savoring, it drastically reduces the quantity you need to feel satisfied. It shifts the focus from volume consumption to a quality experience.
And what's the emotional payoff there? Because I feel like guilt is the #1 progress killer.
Guilt triggers what I call the forget it mentality, that feeling of failure that just causes people to throw in the towel.
Right.
But mindful indulgence asserts control. By choosing a small treat and enjoying it intentionally, you acknowledge it, you get the pleasure from it, and then you immediately get back on your plan, guilt-free. You're the one in charge. And that sense of agency is everything.
So what does this all mean? We've pulled out 6 really powerful, actionable strategies for anyone trying to maintain their goals through the festive season.
Yeah, to quickly recap the framework. First, you build your nutritional foundations. That's prioritizing protein and loading up on fiber-rich veggies.
Yeah.
Second, you use tactical management. So using a smaller plate for portion control, upping your hydration.
And third, the mindset.
And third, you secure your success with those mindset strategies. Plan ahead for parties, and when you do indulge, do it mindfully, intentionally.
The core conclusion of our deep dive is this. Navigating the holidays while training is a challenge, for sure, but it is entirely possible to enjoy everything without compromising your progress.
It's all about viewing food strategically as a tool for protection, for satisfaction, and for enjoyment all at once. It's about being proactive, not reactive. You are the architect of your own plate this season.
And that leads us to our final thought for you to consider. Given these strategies, which one requires more sophisticated psychological discipline to turn into a consistent habit? Is it the tactical implementation of portion control in a chaotic social setting? Or is it the practice of true, non-guilty, mindful indulgence? And why do you think that distinction is so hard for us to master? Something to chew on as you prepare for the weeks ahead. In the meantime, let's roar.